Well, thank you. Uh, I'd like to say, first of all, that I'm greatly honored by having been invited here. Um, America is now perhaps the most important uh, nation, the most important forum for the visual arts. And anything which happens here in America has a special significance worldwide. It's also the case that here, as in my country, in a somewhat different way, art has moved out of the capital cities, which have become too much the haven of commerce, too expensive for artists to live in. And now, as I well know as a critic, if I want to see really innovative American art, the places I go to are either California or New Mexico. And there I find large communities of artists who are communicating with one another. And very frequently, those artists are not American. Or if they are American, they're first generation Americans. And that has been a pattern which, of course, has established itself ever since the rise of the abstract expressionist movement in the 1940s, 1950s, and is well established now. It often seems that the most important artists are artists who have uprooted themselves from somewhere else. And that has a particular point because we are here celebrating an artist who has done exactly that. That is, who is British, but who has located himself in this culture. The great difficulty for all artists, I think, at the moment, is the question of what is original. That is, it was easy enough in the early years of modernism to specify what was original. That is, it was cubist, it was futurist, it was surrealist. It was easy to put a label on it, and it was a question of stylistic shifts. Well, that's not the case anymore, as I'm increasingly conscious as a working critic. There have been no great stylistic uprisings that I can think of in very recent years. What one has had, however, is a combination of art with technology. That is, artists are able to make things that they were never able to make before because they have new technological means to do it with. And so you get art, for example, which surrounds you. You have art which plunges you into an entirely separate world from the physical world you inhabit. Well, there are elements of that kind of thing in Alexander's work, but there's also something else, which is that he is a highly original thinker about what visual art can actually do. That is, when you look at his art, you are looking at original ways of thinking about presenting visual images. And that originality is something which has always been quite rare, and which is even rarer now in the kind of situation which we now have, where there is no strong stylistic current flowing. Alexander does not belong, in my opinion as a critic, to any movement. He is entirely individual, and that is what we are coming together here to celebrate. He has picked up on quite a number of things which the new technology can do, but they are not necessarily central to his philosophy. What his philosophy is to find new ways of looking. That is, you look in his work at a shift in emotional as well as directly, very often, in visual perspective. He is looking for a way of getting directly at the spirit of creativity without paying any attention or much attention to the idea of belonging to a movement or a style. And of course, that's meant he's very often had to plough a rather difficult road as an artist. That is, he's not surrounded by supporters, there's no gang he belongs to, he is entirely a separate creative individual. And what I've come here at his invitation to do, though I'm not sure that that's what he expected, is to celebrate him, his separateness, his individuality, the fact that he is like nobody else. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now it is my distinct pleasure and honor, as we do a little bit of rearranging here, to introduce Alexander the artist and thank him again for his work and his donation.
Good afternoon. I will be brief because it is cold and there's no reason why you should be exposed to the cold too long. There's something important, though, to say about the work that is here. When I was very young, I used to go to Carrara a lot, and there are two things in Carrara. One was a very big marble quarry, and the other, in a way more important, was a market for marble down in the town. And so a lot of the pieces that I made were from different kinds of marble that were in that town. Whenever there was a piece, that I recognized as being from Michelangelo's quarry. By that I mean the quarry that Michelangelo used and that was closed for many years. Whenever I found a piece like that, I was absolutely delighted, bought it, and made a sculpture from it. At one time, when I came across a large piece of marble, I was astonished because that quarry had finished so many years ago. I didn't understand it, but I bought it and I knew that I was going to make something important from it. But at the time, I had no idea what. No ideas at all. And it was on the way back from Australia to England, in Singapore, when suddenly the idea came into my mind of the cross in the marble. And so I made it, and it is here. So that's really the most important thing. The fact that this piece is not just a work of art, but it also is a unique piece of marble. So I'm very pleased about that, and I'm very pleased that it's found a nice home here. So, thank you very much.
As we continue on with this short presentation, I want to speak briefly about a unique partnership that came about as a result of this gift and that is between the artist Alexander and some of our students, who you've heard from one already. One in particular, as we've had to do some rearranging because of the wind, you'll notice one piece of art here in the front and another that was moved off for purposes of the wind, as I mentioned. That collaboration was done by a very gifted young artist that we have here at Oaks Christian, and we'd like her to come up and say a few words about that and about other things. So I'd like to welcome Christy Gibson to the stage.
I'm firstly so thankful to Alexander and to Oaks that I was able to take this project on, making these posters. It's so cool to me how I go to this school where we make such an effort to integrate ourselves in the art world. Dallas Price especially has allowed that to happen. She just has filled our halls with art, and I'm so grateful that I get to be in an environment where I can look at art and be inspired by it all the time. Working with people in the art world as well has been so illuminating of an experience. I have my little drawing tablet that I plug into my computer and draw with, but there's so much more to the process of making things like this than that. There's so much critiquing and adjusting and going back and forth until you get a product that you're happy with. And I think it turned out pretty good, so glad for that. But yeah, I'm so grateful that this opportunity has allowed me to spread a new kind of art in my community, both here and at the Civic, where the art show will be. I've been performing there my whole life on stage, and it'll be so cool to share some visual art there as well. So I'd like to ask Alexander to come back up once again. I'm so sorry for making you stand again. You have to come back up. But we just wanted to thank you again for gifting us with this work of art.
In addition to this beautiful piece of art, we have a memorable plaque that we are going to install here at the base, and I would like Alexander and Christy, if you would, together, and I could also ask Mr. Rob Black to come up, our head of school, and if you would together place this at the base of the cross, and then we will have it installed permanently at a later time.
So why don't you go ahead and hold it? Thank you so much, sir.
No, that's all. Thank you. I love this piece, so I'm glad it's found a good play. Look at the markings on it. You see, that's unique to Michelangelo's collar.
It's beautiful.
It's not just white. It's got those lovely markings.
Veins. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Now, I'd like to also go back just for a moment, if I can, to the incredible posters that Christy has created for this momentous occasion. And I would like you to know that they are for purchase. There are 100 unique posters available for purchase. Today, those will be available for $99, and a portion of the proceeds, as well as a portion of the proceeds from Alexander's art show, will go back to Oaks Christian, and we will be able to use those for our continuing our arts program.